Adam Scott, you are nominated for an Indie Spirit Award.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's the good
Thank you.
news. The bad news is that you're up against Jeff Bridges in
Yeah.
Crazy Heart, Colin Firth in A Single Man, and this is where
Yes.
we award geeks have an issue with all this award stuff, and that doesn't quite strike us as fair. Don't you think the Indie Spirits should be kind of like the anti-Oscars? Like if you don't get into this race, you get into that race? Or are you okay with this?
I'm lucky to be here. I mean, I think it's fair simply because those guys, in this situation, they may seem like the heavyweights, but those performances are incredible, so they should be there. And I'm just lucky to be in a sentence with those guys, let alone a category.
Let's talk about this character you play, because it is, I imagine, a tremendous challenge as an actor to pull this off. This guy's such a jerk. He's such a creep. He's so unlikable. But yet you've got to set him up as your job to make us root for you, and you actually do that. It's remarkable. I didn't want to like this guy at all.
Yeah.
But you get under his skin after a while watching this movie.
Oh, well, thanks a lot. That was kind of what Lee, again, the writer-director, and I were thinking of from the very beginning is we've got to find some way to make this guy charming or funny or something, because there's no way you're going to want to spend an hour and a half with this guy if he's just an a-hole the whole time, And I think from the very beginning, we both sort of, like when I first read the script, I thought it was funny. I told Lee, this is pretty funny stuff. And he was pleased, but it wasn't a reaction he got very much. Mostly people thought it was just dark and sadistic and just like heavy drama, which is not how I saw it at all, and it's not how he saw it at all. I mean, of course, the themes are pretty heavy duty, but I think getting there, you need to be able to find some lightness. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to watch it. I don't think.
Let's set up this story too, which is you're an older brother, your younger brother's romantically naive and a virgin, and this kind of punk girlfriend comes over for the holiday weekend, and you set out warning her to stay away from him or not to break his heart, and you warn him about her. And what is a little dubious about the plotting of this movie is that your motivation always seems to be to protect your brother, but then you are the one who ends up going in. Is that just the selfishness of the character when you and the girlfriend, I mean, spoiler alert, start winking at each other here?
Yeah. I think it's interesting because that was one of the challenges of it, is that the character, almost everything the character Caleb that I play says is almost always immediately contradicted by something else he says or does. And I think that he sets out to not only protect his brother by ruining his relationship with the girlfriend, but he also does have moments of just being a bad person and wants to ruin it just so no one else would be happy. But then scuttles that and decides to protect his brother. But then by way of doing that, falls in love with the girl, but then realizes that that's wrong. It's a very kind of, it was difficult not only from scene to scene to figure out how to play that and not make it seem too insane, but also the chronological order of things that led up to where the movie starts. As you know, at the end of the movie, a lot of it is explained, and so to kind of get that straight was also difficult. I remember I wrote it all out on a legal pad and kind of had to cut up the order of things and was constantly shifting them around because I could never quite figure. It wasn't until the day we shot the scene where we're kind of explained things a little bit that I finally got it straight in my head what exactly had happened.
And I think, I didn't count, but I think Caleb smokes more cigarettes in this movie than Daniel Day-Lewis does in 9. And that's a lot of cigarettes.
Oh, yeah, that is a lot of cigarettes. There's a lot of cigarettes.
As a constantly reforming smoker here, I just have to ask, as a personal aside, did you smoke before this movie? Were you really smoking in this movie? Was this became an issue?
No, I'm a former smoker myself, and that was all herbal cigarettes, the entire thing. I was very proud of myself that I didn't cave and have one of, because I think Brittany was smoking real cigarettes in the movie, and all I had to do was ask, and I never did it. So there's a big pat on my back.
I'm proud of you there. Now you're living the dream. You're living the dream there. You've got this a really hip show on Starz called Party Down. And that is, to set that up for people who may not be familiar with it, it's a bunch of Hollywood wannabes who are actually getting by catering.
Yes.
And it's comic, and it's kind of sad and tragic, but it's also, in a way, kind of an entourage of a different kind. Have you lived that experience yourself? Have you done the catering or done the odd jobs?
I never did catering, but, I've been here since 1993. In fact, in 1994, I snuck into the Independent Spirit Awards. Me and a couple of friends put on green smocks and got coffees on trays and just walked right past security and the press line and everything. And it was at the Hollywood Palladium, and we just sat up in the balcony next to Roger Ebert's where he was set up, and he was interviewing all the winners after they won. We just sat next to them and drank coffee and watched the whole ceremony from up there. But that was and Jeff Bridges actually won that year. He won for American Heart, I believe. But yeah, so I've been here a while, and so the humiliation of trying to start a career in show business, an acting career in show business from scratch. I mean, from knowing not one person. There's a lot of pride swallowing, soul crunching moments. And so, as far as trying to, find those moments within myself for Party Down, it's not too difficult. Because all of us on the show have been there as well. So and they're endless. That's a great thing, is that John Enbaum, who writes the majority of the episodes with Rob Thomas and Dan Etheridge, and Paul Rudd, they're endless stories, endless humiliation in show business stories. So that's one thing we have going for us. We could go for years, because it is a humiliating business to be in, especially for actors.